What's up, guys? I'm Mitsalting with another Outriders video. I recently posted my new Technomancer build after the most recent update on May 25th, and the most frequently asked question I got was how can I build this without those tier 3 mods? So instead of telling you exactly what non-tier 3 mods to use, I'm just going to tell you a bunch of non-tier 3 mods that are viable while trying to use a DPS firepower techno so that you can use those. And I obviously don't know which ones you have or don't have, so this will allow you to have a bunch of different options and go through them and be able to figure out what you want to use and what you're capable of using. So as I say that, let's hop right into it. I'll show you the ones that I already have on my character, and then we'll go into Zahidi and look at the other ones that are viable options. Okay, starting with my helmet, these first ones are both tier 2 mods. We have Dum Dum Bullets and Bloodlust. These are both just for getting you firepower. The primary thing that you want to do with any of your mods while using these builds is gain firepower. Dum Dum Bullets increases assault weapon damage, which is what we are always going to be using as Technomancers, and Bloodlust makes it so killing shots increase your firepower by 17,000 and stacks 3 times. So those two mods are very important. I use them every single day on my build, and they are tier 2, so you do not need to get tier 3 mods to get those two mods. Next, I'm skipping over Captain Hunter. Crit stack is very, very important as well. I use that every single day on my build as well. Critical shots build up a 5-second stacking effect that grants you 3,500 anomaly power and 7,723 firepower bonuses, and it stacks 5 times. So basically, you're getting 7,700 firepower times 5 every time you hit a crit. So that's also very important, especially while using a burst rifle, which you should be using. Most likely either Earthborn or Inferno Seed. Makes it very easy for those precision shots to hit headshots, get those crits, and make sure that you're constantly stacking that damage. Next, the other one I use is Spare Mag, which simply gives you an extra magazine of blighted rounds. One of the most important things for your damage output as a techno is having your blighted rounds up all the time, because that maximizes your damage output. Spare Mag allows you to have that secondary resource for extra ammo. And you can get it, obviously it's only a tier 1 mod, so you pretty much can get it whenever and have two magazines. Next is Trick Up the Sleeve. Trick Up the Sleeve simply restores your bullets in your blighted. Again, you want to keep your blighted up all the time if you can. It gives you 30% extra bullets in your mag every time you get a kill. So every time you get a kill, your blighted rounds are not going to go away, and you're going to be able to just keep shooting them. And that combined with the spare mag is pretty much going to enable you to keep your blighted rounds up all the time. I do always use Trick Up the Sleeve. I don't use Toxic Lead. The reasoning for that is if you join someone else's server, if you don't know, there's heavy desync in this game, which causes a lot of problems and things not to work. One of which is ammo restoration from mods like Trick Up the Sleeve and Toxic Lead. Toxic Lead does fail more often when there's desync than Trick Up the Sleeve does. It is much less reliable if you're not host or playing solo, which is the reason that I use Trick Up the Sleeve instead of Toxic Lead. So Trick Up the Sleeve, another tier 1 mod that is viable. And then on my boots, you can see 2 more mods that I use every single day on my build. Radical Therapy and Damage Absorber, both tier 2 mods. Damage Absorber is my only defense mod that I run on my Techno. It increases your armor by 52,000, resistance by 10%, which is basically the only way that I survive, because everything else I use has nothing to do with defense. And then Radical Therapy, you deal 15% more damage against enemies afflicted by Toxic. Every single person and enemy that you shoot with your blighted rounds or is near your blighted turret is getting afflicted by Toxic, and you are going to deal 15% more damage to them because they are damaged by Toxic. So that is very important, and those are also 2 tier 2 mods. So next I'm going to go over to Zahidi, and we'll go through some of the other mods that can be helpful for your build, and I'll just give you a bunch of options that you can run through, and you can see what you have and what you can put into your current gear set. Okay, so here we are. We're looking at armor mods right now, and that's actually all we're going to be looking at. We're not going to look at weapon mods today in this video, but we're going to go through a bunch of the tier 1 mods, and then I'll move on to the tier 2. These are ones that are just going to help your damage output and make you a little better. So first of all, this is assuming that you're using blighted rounds, blighted turret, and cold snap, which is what I use on your Technomancer, and then these are going to be some of the tier 1 mods that you can use. So number 1 is going to be Painful Chill applies extra 37,000 damage to all enemies affected by the skill. So this is just straight up going to give you more damage when you use Cold Snap. It's going to apply that much damage, and it's going to give you a little more damage output. Again, these are options. They're not the best options in the game, but they are tier 1 and tier 2 options that are going to make you at least viable while you're playing through and building up your gear. Long Winter, also another one. It's just going to increase the radius of Cold Snap, so you're going to be able to freeze everything on the map. If you're constantly getting killed, things can't kill you if they're dead. So freeze everything on the map. 66% is surprisingly far. You're going to be able to freeze pretty much everything in every room that you're in when you activate Cold Snap. So Long Winter is very useful for that reason. You can put on stuff like Critical Analysis if you want, as far as tier 1 mods go. Increase critical damage by 15%. That's never bad to have. It's not exactly like the best, like I'm saying with all these other ones, but it does help. And then, you know, these ones with the turret can be helpful too. Increases the turret's duration so it'll hang out more. The turrets create an explosion when deployed, creating 33,000 damage. So those types of things can help you deal more damage, deal more toxic here, and then just deal more damage when you throw that out. All right, we cut that part off abruptly, but now we're moving on to the tier 2 mods. So here are some tier 2 mods that can be useful if you are only using tier 1 and tier 2 mods. So number 1, I'm going to point out Rejuvenation. Rejuvenation is going to give you 14,000 firepower whenever your health is replenished. While you're playing as Techno, you're going to be replenishing your health every time you shoot an enemy. So your health is going to be replenishing. You're going to be receiving firepower for 8 seconds, and then there's going to be a 10-second cooldown on that as well. So you're basically going to receive 14,000 firepower every 10 seconds using Rejuvenation, so that's definitely helpful. The next option is going to be Toxic Piercer. Now, this one is weird because it is completely based on your armor piercing. If you don't know how to check your armor piercing, I'm on PC. Go into your inventory and press Shift. I don't know what it is on consoles, but whatever the button is to check your stats, you can see what your armor piercing is. But here it will tell you what exactly it's going to do for you. For me, it's increased by 20%. So my effectiveness on Toxic is increased by 20% because of whatever my armor piercing is. So that can be useful for you because, again, your blighted bullets and turrets are going to put Toxic on everyone, and you're going to do 20% more damage based on your armor piercing or whatever it is. Already saw Dum Dum bullets. We can move through all of this. Thirst for Blood, Extra Bullet, Blazing Aegis, Close Range, Armor. None of these are important. Don't use anything that's you're seeing here. Toxic Lead is the other option for replenishing your magazine. It does 40% instead of 30, but it's best if you're playing solo, because if you're getting desynced on other people's servers, it's not very reliable and it won't usually restore your magazine as often as you'd need it to. Let's keep moving down. Ashen Boost, Bloody Boost, Freezing Boost. So here's another option, is Freezing Boost. Boost your damage against enemies afflicted with freeze by 15%. So again, if you're using Cold Snap, or even if you're using Cryo Turret and freezing enemies as much as you can, you're going to do 15% more damage against enemies that are frozen. So this is an option. It is not, again, the best option, but this is for if you don't have any other options, basically. Not any of these. Mitigation from Death is your other defense mod, so you might choose to run 2 defense mods if you're struggling to survive, or if you just need another defense mod because you don't want to use Damage Absorber or whatever. Mitigation from Death is good because it's going to give you 45,000 points of armor for 10 seconds, and it stacks up to 3 times. It's going to give you a dang lot of armor. Unfortunately, it requires you to aim down the sights and kill enemies, which is why I don't use it personally, because if you're just one-on-one with a Broodmother or something, you're not going to be able to get those ad kills and keep that armor up, and that can lead to you dying, whereas Damage Absorber is just a steady 50k armor all the time, and I always have it. I don't have to do anything to make it happen. But Mitigation from Death is definitely an option if you need another mod or just another defense mod. If you're running Mitigation and Damage Absorber, you'll probably survive pretty darn well in most situations. Let's keep going down here. Brawl, Exploding Strike, Move Groove. Stand Tall is another option that might be useful if you need more firepower as well and you don't have some of the tier 3 mods. So basically, when you're out of cover for more than 5 seconds, you receive 12,871 firepower. So basically, all the time, because no one goes in cover in this game. They made a cover-based shooter where cover is essentially useless. So once you're out of cover for 5 seconds, you're just going to have a steady 12,000 plus firepower added to your total until you go back into cover, which will most likely be never. So stand tall is good for giving you that steady 12,000 something firepower added on. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Emergency stance is another defense mod that is an option. It's not the best, but it does give you resistance. If you don't know, resistance is good for blocking anomaly abilities like Broodmother Fire and stuff like that, but you only get it when your health drops below 30%, but you do get like a 60% resistance bonus, which can be really nice if you're about to die and it can save you from something like Broodmother Fire, but it's very situational. It's a good option if you don't have anything else, but not the best option, I would say. Let's keep going here. Already went over Radical Therapy. Resistance Piercing, critical damage, resistance piercing. Trying to see if there's anything else. Barrel roll is another option. It increases your firepower by 28,000 for the first shot after executing a roll. This kind of sucks, to be honest, but for basically literally one shot, if you're using a burst round, you're going to do more damage. If you're really in a bind and you have absolutely nothing else, it's an option. It's not that good. I don't recommend using it if you have literally any other options, but it exists, just so you know. And then let's keep going here. Shield zap, bullet recycling. Personal space is another one that I think is a little underutilized by people on Technos. So obviously Techno is a long range character, and you tend to kill a lot of enemies at long range because you're using an assault rifle or whatever. But you're still going to kill a lot of enemies at close range. Enemies just run at you. Like, you're constantly aggroing enemies. Alphas are jumping on you. There's perforos sneaking up behind you. Even captains will just walk over and punch you in the face. So you're constantly getting in close range whether you like to or not. So if you have personal space and you need a mod to put on, this is a good option because you're going to straight up do 15% more damage at close range when enemies are near you, which is pretty much all the time. So there's nothing wrong with getting that little damage boost if you don't have the other mods as options. None of these. Let's keep going. Sprint, increase your armor and resistance. Hidden and dangerous is an option, I guess. Not really. Again, hidden and dangerous and arms juggler. Once again, this is similar to barrel roll. Both of these, I don't recommend using them if you have any other of the options I've mentioned. But if you do have these and nothing else, it works. If you're shooting in cover, you can constantly take cover on purpose, and you're instantly going to get 48,000 firepower, which is a pretty lot of firepower. It's a good chunk of firepower. So if you can force yourself to just make it a habit of constantly getting in cover, hidden and dangerous is a good option if you're doing that, but it does get annoying, especially if you're playing expeditions, to use that all the time because cover is pretty much pointless. But if you can force yourself to play like that, then hidden and dangerous is an option. As far as arms juggler, swapping weapons, it's not really good because swapping weapons is going to cancel out your blighted rounds. But for whatever reason, if you aren't using blighted rounds or you just, I don't know, don't care about it, you can switch weapons and increase your firepower. Other than that, I'm just going to recommend that you increase stuff like critical damage, resistance piercing, and just overall firepower and stuff. Like Achilles Heel is going to increase your critical damage by 50% of your resistance piercing, which again is based on your resistance piercing. I don't know what your resistance piercing is. Mine is not very high, so the critical damage increase isn't going to be much. But again, if you're shooting people in the head all the time, Achilles Heel will make you do a little bit more damage. And then the last one I'm going to recommend that's still a little iffy is, what the heck was it? Oh, yeah, this. So these two are both here, Resistance Piercer and Plate Piercer. I have Armor Piercing, but I don't have Resistance Piercing at all. So I would recommend Plate Piercer first because it's more likely that you have Armor Piercing because it's on your skill tree and stuff. So increase your critical damage by 10%. The bonus equal to 50% of your Armor Piercing. So obviously 50% of my Armor Piercing is only 10%. So my Armor Piercing must be 20%. So that's what Plate Piercer does for me. But again, increasing your critical damage, increasing your overall damage. As long as you're aiming for heads and clicking on those heads, you're going to do more damage. So at the end of the day, this is another option. But as far as that goes, that's pretty much all the tier 1 mods that are going to be super, or tier 2 mods that are going to be super useful to you. But other than that, those are pretty much all the mods that you're going to want to be using. if you have some or most of those mods, you can use those tier 1s and 2s instead of trying to use tier 3s that you don't have yet. Again, I was getting that question a lot, is what can I use instead of these tier 3 mods? So I just wanted to throw out a bunch of options because I don't know what you have available to you. And I'm assuming you'll at least have enough of those to make a build out of it. Again, you're not going to be the best. You're probably not going to run through 15s. If you get the right combination of these mods, you can do 15s, but it's not going to be easy. You're not going to walk through them like you would if you had these tier 3s. So that's going to be pretty much it for this video. If you guys found this useful in any way, please give the video a like and consider subscribing to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. I post videos every single day. I also stream live every single day on Twitch at twitch.tv/MidSofting. We have a growing community featuring Outriders, Biomutant, and pretty much whatever else you want to do. We have a Discord with looking for carries, looking for groups, help with your build, all that stuff for Outriders. So if you're interested, please join our community. It's freaking great. I love everybody there, and it's a great group of guys. And I hope that you'll check it out. Come hang out and stream. Come say hi. And I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.